On behalf of the Toy Industry Association and its members, it's my real pleasure to introduce to you this morning our keynote speaker, the chairman of the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, Inez Tenenbaum. Even when Chairman Tenenbaum made her first visit to Toy Fair in 2010, she was no stranger to the issues surrounding the safety of children's products. Her background with children and family services, her practice in health, environmental, and public interest law, her experience with legislation relating to public health and the environment, child welfare, local government, was extraordinarily helpful in preparing her for the job that she had taken. Chairman Tenenbaum, we're really very pleased to welcome you back to New York Toy Fair for your third trip this year, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come. I'd also like to thank you and congratulate you in the 4 years since you become chair of the CPSC. You've worked tirelessly to help keep children safe at play. This is a goal that we share with you. In fact, our safety, as we all know, is our first and foremost priority. You've worked hard, and we've worked hard on it. Looking at the CPSC's statistics and annual reports, we know that a lot of progress has been made. The statistics show it. TIA members continually strive to ensure their toys are safe. The actions of a few, however, can harm the reputation of many. So the work the CPSC is doing with Customs and Border Protection to keep unsafe products from entering our country is commendable. We applaud your efforts to catch bad actors and non-compliant products before they enter our marketplace. But we do want to call for caution. As the CPSC increases its enforcement efforts at the border, we hope you will not subject compliant importers to burdensome paperwork or delays at the ports that can lead to unnecessary costs or delays that will damage business relationships. We want to work with you and your team so that the agency can better understand the industry perspective. For example, we want to help you and your staff better understand marketplace realities and supply chain logistics as new regulations such as the proposed certification requirements are considered. Our work truly is a partnership. These things are complex, and we can achieve things from our familiarity and our ability that are necessary to achieve our common goal of children's safety. Throughout the years, the toy industry and the CPSC have built a strong relationship, and maintaining an open and constructive exchange of information will continue helping us achieve our common goals. There's, of course, more we can still do. For instance, we need to better educate consumers on the proper selection and use of toys. Selecting toys that are age-graded properly and proper parental supervision can significantly reduce the number of toy-related incidents. And reminders of simple steps that can be taken around the home will help significantly reduce the number of incidents cited in the annual Toy Safety Report. Additionally, we make a commitment to you. The TIA will continue to educate toy companies to ensure that all companies know, understand, and comply with the tough U.S. toy safety standards. And of course, we'll continue to work with the agency to identify emerging hazards and update the ASTM F963 safety standard as necessary. We're proud that this document continues to be recognized as the most comprehensive toy safety standard in the world and is a benchmark for international toy safety regulations. Chairman Tenenbaum, we really look forward to hearing your remarks once again this year, your perspectives and observations on the current state of toy industry, and your insights as to what lies ahead. Chairman Tenenbaum, thank you again so much for being with us.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope all of you made it into New York safely into the winter storm. I hear it's called Nemo. Hasn't taken anything away from your Toy Fair experience. I have been told that there's a rich history of snow storms striking New York during the second week of February, so Nemo can only add to the history of this great fair. I appreciate the person who selected the size of this lectern. You got it just right. I can see everyone, and everyone can see me. This is actually my third time attending the Toy Fair, and I always love the energy and the creativity that you feel the moment you step inside the Javits Center. And it was back in 2009 that I first met a number of you, and it's always great to see familiar faces in the audience and just to meet with you on the floor of the Toy Fair and hear about your new products and how the year has gone for you and your company. Carter, I want to thank you for that very nice introduction and for your great collaboration with me during the last 4 years as my chairmanship at the CPSC has unfolded. We've been in Bethesda and Hong Kong and New York City together, and I really have enjoyed working with you and your staff, and I've even been interviewed by you for Toy Fair TV. So I look forward to further collaboration with you this year, and I hope in my remarks this morning address some of the issues that you brought up in terms of importation and paperwork. With me this morning, some very special people. I have Anu Connor. She is my special assistant and senior counsel, and she's doing a fantastic job working with me. We have Alex Phillip and Nikki Fleming from the Office of Communication here as well, who just do an extraordinary job. All those press releases that you see going out every day about recalls come from their office, and they are really veterans of this whole process. And Neil Cohen is here, who's our Small Business Ombudsman. He'll be presenting on the next panel, and Neil has made a tremendous difference in terms of the amount of information that's clearly understood by small businesses that come from the CPSC. So if you have trouble in understanding an issue or you want to talk to Neil directly, he'll be able to tell you how to get in touch with him after he makes his presentation. Now, one of the questions I'm always asked, I ask my communications team during the holiday season is what questions are reporters asking when they come to toy safety? I mean, what's the big issue of the year? Inevitably, the reporters want to know what is the toy that's most in trouble this year. Well, in recent holiday seasons, we've not had any toy recalls that create a frenzy of fear like that one that happened in 2007 and 2008. And that's a good thing. I think there was only one toy since I've been chairman, the Zuzu Pets, that got really wrong information from in the media stories, and we were able to put that to rest so that was not a toy that people feared. So I want the CPSC and the toy industry to be working proactively, and I want you to be successful. And it can only happen when we're not in a state of crisis, when we work together and understand all the rules. Now, this is not to say there weren't any toy recalls in 2012. In late November, we had a recall of 17,000 children's riding toys due to a problem with the design of the seat. And there were 4 reports of incidents, including cuts on a child's mouth. In December, we teamed up with Health Canada to announce a recall of a marble-sized water toy that can expand inside the body when ingested and cause a blockage in the small intestine. Now, these toys do not show up on X-ray and require surgery to be removed. An 8-year-old girl in Humble, Texas, who ingested the toy suffered an intestinal obstruction and had to undergo surgery to have the product removed. These are serious hazards. I spoke last year about the concept of safety by design, and I want to emphasize the importance of anticipating use and misuse of your product, because you have to look at both to make sure that the toy is safe for children. The potential for a child to fall off a toy, suffer an impact injury, or ingest a product are all factors that need to be accounted for in the design process. Overall, your industry continues to move in the right direction when we looked at toy recalls last year. In fiscal year 2012, the CPSC recalled 38 toys, but only 3 of which involved a lead violation, and we find that a great improvement. Toy recalls have continued to decline since 2008. There were 172 recalls in fiscal year 2008, 50 in 2009, 46 in 2010, and 34 in 2011. Most of the recalls in 2012 were due to small parts, choking hazards, or sharp points. These are hazards that we've known about that are not that are violative, yet we continue to see them in toy manufacturing. So I'm calling on manufacturers to do better in addressing the hazards during the design and the production stages. Look at the toy, look at F963, the small parts, the sharp parts, parts that you know are violative and make the changes in the design phase. With all the creative and innovative minds, technologies, and forces that exist in the toy industry, I am confident that if there is a will to find these in the design phase, there is a way to correct them. Ideally, hazards will be anticipated and addressed before the product enters the market. It saves you a great deal of capital, and it saves us a great deal of time. So this approach is, more importantly, saves lives, and that is the most important thing that all of us want to do. Now, the danger posed by the ingestion of high-powered magnets that was on the forefront of our work this past year, from administrative lawsuits to proposed rulemaking to recalls to testimony in front of Congress. We know the difference between high-powered magnet desk sets and children's magnetic toys. The former is covered by no safety standard, and the latter is covered by F963 standard that requires encapsulation. The creation of the magnet standard for children's toys was a big step forward in safety, and complying with this standard should be a priority for all manufacturers and importers. The danger to children who swallow multiple magnets is potentially life-threatening. There have been ongoing education of the industry and doctors and parents, but all of you need to comply with the standards so that loose magnets stay out of the hands of children and out of the mouths of children. If you look at the x-rays of children who swallow these high-powered magnets, they are life-threatening, and the children have to go intensive surgery, many times removing large parts of the intestines to get these toys out. So we ask you to please be extra careful if you're going to have magnets in your toys and avoid the high-powered magnets in children's toys. Now, phthalates is another issue. Now, I know TIA and its members have been concerned about inaccessible parts of toys and how they can be handled under the requirements of Section 108 of the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act. Well, Congress heard and responded to your concerns. With the passage of Public Law 112-28 in 2011, which was a reaffirmation of the CPSIA, Congress amended the CPSA to clarify that the phthalates content limit of 1,000 parts per million does not apply to inaccessible parts of toys or child care articles. Now, this brought the phthalate rule in line with the lead content rule in terms of inaccessible parts, and we were very supportive of that amendment in Congress. But just last week, the commissioners and I directed the agency staff to publish a final rule in the Federal Register about this change in the law. So I encourage you all to go on our website, cpsc.gov, and read about the new guidance about inaccessible parts concerning phthalates so that you can see what the definition is of an inaccessible part. Now, I believe that all of you here this morning have a commitment to safety. I don't think there's a single person in this audience who wants to manufacture a toy that endangers a child. And you want to make sure that you comply and that you sell these products and that you have no recalls or incidents. Unfortunately, there are toy importers out there who do not share the same mindset, who really don't care about their brand because it changes constantly. They skirt the U.S. safety laws, they change their company names, and they think they can get away with it. Well, I have a message for these rogue companies. Law enforcement, Homeland Security, and the CPSC are going to catch you. In fact, we're working together more closely than ever before at the ports and in the marketplace, and we will not allow children's safety to be sacrificed for profits. Just last week, 5 individuals and 5 corporations were charged in an indictment unsealed in federal court in Brooklyn for allegedly importing hazardous and counterfeit toys from China. This indictment made national news, and it called out the names of the people indicted. The individuals were arrested, and they were charged with crimes related to importing hazardous toys in violation of the Consumer Product Safety Act and bearing copyright infringement images and counterfeit trademarks, egregious counterfeit violations. Now, according to the indictment, the defendant's company had children's toys seized from shipping containers into the United States from China on 33 separate occasions. This was not their first time. It was their 33rd time. 17 of the 33 seizures were of violative toys, toys prohibited from import and distribution because of excessive lead content, excessive phthalate levels, small parts that presented choking, aspiration, or ingestion hazards, and easily accessible battery component parts. Our country has some of the strongest toy standards and lowest lead limits in the world, and the CPSC is committed to enforcing these child safety requirements so that the bad actors do not overshadow the good actors, the reputable companies. So when it comes to toy safety, we must be all in. And the CPSC under my watch certainly is. That means we are all in this together. No doubt that many of you here are all in, or else you would not be participating in the toy fair. You would not be in this audience. During the remainder of my time today, I want to emphasize what we've done in terms of three additional topics that relate to you directly and your toy manufacturing business. First, our import surveillance program that Carter references in introduction, and risk assessment methodology pilot project that I want you all to understand. The second is continuous testing rule that went into effect last week. And third, giving you an update on what my safety priorities are for this year, and some of them are very separate from toys. So let's start with import surveillance and the CPSC's effort to stand guard on behalf of consumers at our ports. Carol Cave, our Director of Import Surveillance, and her team have done an outstanding job of using the state-of-the-art technology, skilled staff, and priceless assistance from Customs and Border Protection to build a strong line of defense at our ports. Our partnership with CBP is truly priceless. We are a very small agency. We cannot operate without Customs and Border Protection. And I am proud that CPSC is one of the first agencies to sign an agreement with CBP to collaborate and co-locate at their Commercial Targeting and Analysis Center in the Department of Homeland Security in Washington. By working arm in arm on the front lines, we have stopped violative and dangerous toys, children's products, extension cords, and jewelry from ever coming into the United States. Having a clear real-time information from CBP, and our people sit at CBP and go through manifest systems on their computers. We know what ships are coming to the reports. We know what the manifest says about the contents, and we have this information which makes us smarter in terms of our targeting the shipment. And it also helps us receive a higher detection rate of violative products. At the same time, we're trying to facilitate the flow of legitimate trade, and that's what Carter brought up. We can't have a system that impedes the good actors and holds them up at the port while we're trying to ferret out the bad actors, and that's what our new system does. In recent years, our outstanding staff at the ports has received a violation rate above 50% of samples that we have tested. That means if we target a shipment, 50% of the time, these samples have been violative. We are striving to stay above the 50%, and we're creating a new performance goal to increase the effectiveness of our targeting efforts. As many of you may know, we are now issuing quarterly press statements identifying the foreign manufacturers, and the Chinese are very appreciative. They want to see that list. They want to see which companies from China are on that list sending violative products into U.S. ports. And so our importers have products stopped at import due to this mandatory standard violation. We recently announced that in the third quarter of fiscal year 2012 that the CPSC and CBP investigators stopped nearly 3 million units of violative products at the ports. Toys and children's products make up the bulk of products that we stop, that are stopped by the CPSC investigators and CBP officers in the third quarter. But products with levels of lead paint and lead content exceeding federal limits top the group. I mean, lead paint. How many years has the lead paint standard been in the F963? How many years have we had the limit on lead set for content for children's products? Yet we continue to see this as the main violator, followed by phthalate levels in excess of the federal limits. Now, I'm concerned about the number of lead and phthalate violations that we're still seeing at the ports, even after all of these years, even after extensive education of the toy industry. Toys and other articles with small parts have presented a choking hazards for children younger than 3 years old, and that rounded out the top 3 products stopped. So lead, phthalates, and toys with the choking hazards are the top 3 reasons we hold toys at the port. During the past 4 years, nearly 2,400 different toys and children's products, making up more than 2 million individual units, have been stopped because of the presence of these safety hazards in violation of federal standards. Think about that, 2 million individual units. Importers of toys need to do better, and I know they can do better. The standard is clear. It's been out there for years. It's not something new. I know TIA has worked with all its members to make sure they understand the standards. But having quality assurance and quality control in spec designs and production, and working with reputable manufacturers, that's the key, and working with testing labs that give you a correct analysis when you take your toys for testing, and working with reputable importers are all the keys for you staying within the law under the CPSA. So I also encourage the TIA members to participate in the Importers Self-Assessment Product Safety Program. So that is something you can sign up for, and it's a way to assist in facilitating legitimate trade so you can avoid violations and having your products seized. Now, our import surveillance program has only scratched the surface of its potential. We've really only been in a pilot program. So I want to talk with you about my vision for this import surveillance program, and hope that all of you will support it, because we will need a lot of support on the Hill if we implement this. Now, American consumers run a higher risk of injury and death, and domestic manufacturers are at a competitive disadvantage due in part to imported products that do not comply with federal safety standards or intellectual property laws. The criminal case out of Brooklyn that I mentioned earlier is a perfect example of this problem. Each day in 2011, nearly $1.8 billion worth of products under the CPSC's jurisdiction entered the United States from 800,000 importers at 324 ports in the U.S. And nearly 80% of the product recalls in the United States involved an imported product. 80% of the products that we recall were imported. The lack of resources available for the CPSC to conduct import surveillance is not acceptable from my point of view. We may be a small agency, but import is a greater part of the jurisdiction of our products, and we have to be able to have a stronger presence at the ports, even though we have a great relationship with CBP. To monitor consumer product import compliance currently, the CPSC has only 20 federal inspectors co-located at 15 major ports. This represents 0.057% of the number of FDA inspectors located across the country, and we have a mission equal in size to the FDA. The FDA has a vast army of people at the ports, and we have 20 inspectors at 15 major ports when there are over 300 ports in the United States. So that is why our relationship with CBP is just so critical. We have to have more resources to do the inspections. So the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act directed us to create a risk assessment methodology, commonly known as the RAM, to identify imported products that are likely to be violative. In turn, we have created a pilot RAM targeting system that integrates the data from the CPSC's internal system with data collected at CBP and at CTAC and turned over to us. The RAM pilot is aimed at early detection and targeting of high-risk products and repeat offenders. In fact, I have been to the ports, several ports in China. I've been to the Rotterdam port. I've visited the UK. I've been to American ports. And our risk assessment methodology for our RAM is very close to the RAMs used in other jurisdictions and the ports in the United States. So as a result, if we were to achieve the full potential of our RAM program, it would give the CPSC the ability to electronically analyze 100% of incoming import line entries designated as high priority. And so we would be able not to just pick and choose, but look at 100% of those imports that meet the criteria as being high risk before they move into the United States ports. Now, in the current budget environment, it may be a challenge to achieve this result, because I will have to go to Congress and ask them for a great deal more appropriation to accomplish taking our RAM pilot across the United States. But I do think Congress supports our agency and our mission. They have given us our full budget nearly every year since I've been chairman. They've enacted the CPSIA. They reenacted it pretty much in 2011, and they want to keep the American consumer safe from dangerous products out of their homes, and this means inspecting the ports more closely than we're able to now. So although we're still operating this limited proof of concept, a recently completed study by our Office of Import Surveillance demonstrated that the pilot RAM system was highly effective in identifying violative, hazardous consumer products at the port of entry, but also identifying low-risk importers and manufacturers who can supply consistently compliant products. This is very important, to have our list of low-risk companies bringing products in who are consistently in compliant. And this would mean most of you in this room, I hope all of you in this room, that we could allow them a reduced review time at importation and facilitate the flow of legitimate trade. Now, this can result in a reduction at port processing time and a cost in savings. The quicker these toys and products can come in the United States, unload, and get into stores, the quicker they can be sold. And so that is what we're working on. But let me repeat this, what our numbers show, that 90% of the shipments that we have through this RAM program were reviewed and they were released in the same day. 90%. So we are able to process quickly in the same day. The number of samples obtained from 100 entries examined more than doubled, while maintaining the same percentage of violations. This increase in productivity is a direct result of the visibility that the RAM provides to investigators performing risk-based targeting. So in addition to providing details about the types of products and companies involved, the RAM analyzes each shipment's risk based on the criteria that we have developed. We have indicated in a report to Congress that we may seek greater funding support to expand the implementation of the RAM program. I mean, we told them we may seek it. Well, we have to seek it if we're going to have this program available nationwide. So I've just shared a lot of numbers and concepts with you, so let me take a moment to give you some real-world success stories about the pilot project. In San Francisco, the investigators targeted and examined a shipment of hair dryers. The hair dryers lacked the required shock protection plug at the end of the cord. Now, this is a violation that increases a risk of serious injury or death when the product is used near water, and the hair dryers were seized by the CPSC. In Newark, CPSC investigators identified a shipment of cigarette lighters from a company that did not have a model number submission with the CPSC, a requirement under the federal safety standard. So that shipment was ultimately exported from the United States. And the pilot program has also identified several intellectual property rights violations that have been referred to CBP for action. In Savannah, investigators targeted and examined a shipment of jewelry. While the shipment was compliant with CPSC requirements, the exam revealed items containing the U.S. Marine Corps emblem. The importer did not have the authority to use the emblem, and the products were seized. I would call that a definite copyright violation. This program is clearly intended to catch the bad offenders and incentivize the good actors. So I hope over the course of the year, CPSC can work with TIA to secure your support for this risk-based approach to import surveillance. It would mean less time at the ports for people who are bringing in compliant projects, and it would help us a great deal of the time seize those violated products before they are unloaded and on store shelves. So next I want to take a moment to acknowledge a very important safety milestone, February the 8th. Last Thursday, the CPSC's periodic testing rule went into effect. So since I arrived at the CPSC, which was less than a year after the passage of the CPSIA, we've worked diligently to implement the world's toughest lead limits and increase our enforcement of product safety standards at our nation's ports. But even with all of this progress, February 8th ushered in what many consider the capstone of the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act of 2008. That is periodic, independent, third-party testing of toys and other children's products. In 2008, this nation stood at the crossroads of children's product safety. Behind us was the year of the recall, and millions of shocked and disappointed moms and dads and grandparents who had bought these toys that had too much lead and had to be recalled. So we had two choices. We could retain the failed children's product safety framework of the past that only caught and recalled dangerous children's products after they were in the hands of children and millions of toddlers, or create a new safety scheme designed to help ensure the safety of children's products when they were manufactured and before they're in the hands of children. So parents wanted and they expected that the products they purchased for their children had been third-party tested for safety before they entered the country. The need for independent testing of children's products periodically during the manufacturing process is helped to ensure the continued compliance. And this is not only good manufacturing process, but it is absolutely necessary for the safety of children. My guess is that many, if not all of your members, have already been doing this kind of testing for a long time, long before Congress mandated it. So as we have all learned, without periodic independent testing, there is a much greater risk, as was seen during the summer of recalls in 2007, that something dangerous will go unnoticed during what is usually a complex manufacturing process. Recently, Al Kaufman communicated with association members about the safety value of this requirement in advance of the rule going into effect. As Al stated last month, the CPSC's final rulemaking incorporates many of the toy industry's comments, including a request for flexibility in determining an appropriate quality control program. The toy industry has long been supportive of third-party testing. So thank you, Al, for educating the TIA members about the new requirements and for your decades-long commitment to product safety. With the rule in effect, I'm pleased to say that periodic testing fulfills two promises, a promise that Congress made to parents and a promise that the CPSC made to children when, under my leadership, we adopted these third-party testing requirements. So finally this morning, I want to share with you my safety priorities in this year ahead and beyond those that affect juvenile products, because it gives you a balanced view of what we do at the CPSC. We continue to strive to solidify our place as the global leader in consumer product safety. And many of the talented employees who are working on safety initiatives aimed at making our agency even more proactive in 2013. The safety agenda that I would like to share with all of you will guide CPSC in the months and the years ahead is an agenda that fully advances consumer protection. High on the agenda are a series of projects that, once completed, have the potential to save hundreds of lives and prevent thousands of injuries each year. So the first one that we have on our list is the creation of an upholstered furniture flammability standard that may apply to you if you make children's upholstered furniture, that promotes the use of barrier technology, and it does not require the use of flame retardant chemicals that can prevent deaths and injuries caused by upholstered furniture fires. You've read a lot about flame retardants, and our goal is to have an upholstered furniture rule that has a barrier that prevents the spread of flames without the use of any flame retardants chemicals. The next on our list is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is the invisible killer. So we have exciting research that was recently completed by the CPSC staff, the University of Alabama, and NIST on a gas generator engine that emits lower levels of carbon monoxide and increases the amount of time that a family has to escape a house when carbon monoxide comes in. Every time there's a snowstorm, or Hurricane Sandy or some kind of event like that, we have people who die from carbon monoxide poisoning from standalone generators. So I want to see this research that we developed with the University of Alabama and NIST turned into real-world innovation that gets incorporated in all the generators for consumers. So they would all put out less carbon monoxide. There's a potential to save lives here, and we need to take this know-how and work with the industry to change the standard. The third big issue we're looking at the Consumer Product Safety Commission is window coverings. And I will continue to speak out and encourage families with small children to go cordless. If you have a child in the home and you have window blinds, go cordless. Take those shades out, because we've had children strangle on those cords in the house. When it comes to the position of this commission, it is position of the consumer advocates and my position and the industry Education Council that if you have children in the home, you should be cordless. Consumers should know they can walk into any major box retailers and especially stores today and walk and find cordless options that fit standard windows or specialty windows, and also window covers that have inaccessible cords. So I believe that the innovations, many of the innovators in the industry, many of whom I spent a week traveling the United States to meet, will chart the future of this industry, and we will see less and less corded products. Now, two other products that we deal with regularly are ATVs and ROVs. All-terrain vehicles, and ROVs are recreational off-highway vehicles. Now, our staff has been working on separate rulemaking projects, and both of these off-road vehicles are involved in far too many incidents every year that result in deaths and injuries. So we'll continue to work to make these products safer, work with the industry to have a stronger standard, and also work with the industry to continue to expand their education program, which I think is saving lives. Another issue that has received a great deal of press lately is safer play in youth sports and reducing brain injuries because of contact sports and concussions. I initiated a great program last year with the NFL and others in the football safety community to accelerate the much-needed safety culture change in the sport of football and other sports as well. So it was inspiring when NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell took a great interest in this program along with his staff, and he met me one Saturday in Akron, Ohio, where we had 4 leagues of youth football players. It was during the Hall of Fame weekend, and we celebrated the kickoff of this program with hundreds of children running around, dressed out, ready to play football. So the program provides helmet assistance. The NFL has made a major contribution to USA football, and it provides the assistance to purchase helmets in 4 pilot projects across the United States to economically disadvantaged youth teams, but only if they agree to specific steps that support safety, player brain safety. If you notice, if you watch college ball, which I do, and NFL ball, there are new rules about contact with a player's head and a loss of helmet. This is a change in the culture. This is what we're trying to get young players to learn, is how to avoid tackling with without putting themselves in danger of concussion. So this, though, has been a great example of the power of public-private collaboration. We just reached out to the NFL. We began telling them about these youth leagues out there who had these helmets that had not been conditioned in over 10 years, that you could pick up, and the padding inside the helmet was just brittle and had lost its elasticity. So I am looking so forward to continuing this program. The NFL now has seen what a great advocacy tool it is to teach young players about 4 quarters of safe football, and it also is a great way to make sure our young football players have helmets that protect their heads. But as we found out with all of our research, to date there is not a helmet that will prevent 100% positive a concussion. So finally, establishing mandatory safety standards for juvenile products. I'm looking back in the past 3.5 years, and I'm proud of the work that we've done to the mandate of Section 104 of the CPSIA, which mandate that those are called the durable infant products, and it deals with all the products you find that babies use, like bath seats and baby walkers. And we have to come up with a rule two rules every 6 months, and put it out for the public comment so that one day we'll have all these rules covered. Baby bath seats, baby walkers, full-size and non-full-size cribs, toddler beds, and portable bed rails are covered by strong mandatory standards now. This law is named for a little boy named Danny Kezar, and it's called Danny's Law. And it's a strong mandatory standard for play yards that Danny died in that is going into effect this month. And the CPSC staff is working on a final rule briefing package on bassinets and cradles, bedside sleepers, and handheld infant carriers this year. And the coming years we'll look at strollers, soft carriers, infant slings, bouncers, and updating existing standards. I don't know when we'll ever be finished with the 104 rules because more products come into the marketplace. So you can see we have a robust agenda at the CPSC in 2013, and it's, I think, going to be even more successful than we were in 2012. And, you know, all of our rules on children's products have been mandated, and we have pretty much written the rules on the CPSC but for the 104 rules. And now we can look at other issues like carbon monoxide and that need our attention. We want to continue to be in a leadership position. We want to lead, be the global leader in our standards. We want to work collaboratively so we can harmonize our standards with other jurisdictions, but we want to be a strong contributor to the safety of products around the world. We are wisely and efficiently employing our limited resources because we are a very small federal agency, not just for short-term gains, but to create a sustainable product safety system that is built to last. And we are borrowing that term from another industry, but we like it. So we want a system that's built to last so that you don't have a CPSC that when you don't have a leader that really wants to complete rules that just falls back and is not a global leader. But we're going to build this system built to last through education, through compliance, and through the enforcement of the CPSIA requirements. A system built to last by creating a regulatory approach that strives for more robust injury prevention rather than mere detection and reaction. So I predict the year 2013 will be another successful year, particularly if everyone rallies around our approach for our motto, which is proaction for prevention, proactive for prevention. And I know that each of you is up to the challenge because you want to prevent costly mistakes as well. You already have a corporate and association mission that puts the safety and the well-being of consumers first. So at the CPSC, we're proud that this is the first time when parents and grandparents can go shopping and know that many of their toys that they're selecting have been independently tested. This is a time when consumers have unprecedented access to safety information at the tips of their fingers through the internet. Now, this is a time when foreign regulators and foreign manufacturers understand that the toy requirements established in the United States and know that there are consequences for not following our safety rules. This is a time when the American consumer is being well represented by their government and is being better protected by a global system of safety that is getting stronger. So together we're building a product safety system that is built to last so that future generations of children and other consumers have a greater level of safety and a greater level of protection. So I hope that the rest of the Toy Fair goes really well with you, and I hope that you will stay to hear the CPSC Small Business Ombudsman, Neil Cohen, give an outstanding presentation on third-party testing and answer many of your questions. So I hope you'll leave the Toy Fair better understanding if you are a small batch manufacturer that you don't have to test, that you have to sign up and ask to be exempted, or if you're a large manufacturer, you will know, working with Neil, all about third-party testing as well. I want to thank you again for the third year in a row for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to speak. I appreciate all of you coming out so early, and I look forward to meeting you individual, because we would not leave here without walking the showroom and looking at all your new innovations and hearing about the success. And I hope I hear that you all have had a great year financially as well. So thank you again.
Madam Chairman, thank you very much. Your faithfulness to your mission, at the same time willingness to come up and talk with us here year after year, is evidence of your willingness to maintain a conversation with us about how we can practically achieve our common goal of keeping children safe. So once again, we can't thank you enough for being with us, and we know you're going to see some very exciting things out there on the show floor. Thank you again.